What is up, y'all? Today we are going to be talking about every single villain in the Exorcist franchise and ranking them worst to best. So let's get started. Coming in at last place, the worst villain in Exorcist history, one of the worst villains in movie history, regardless of genre, regardless of franchise, is the villain in Exorcist 2. My biggest issue with this villain is that it completely disrespects and makes the sacrifice of Father Karras in the first one completely useless. And I think that's very disrespectful to the original movie and to the original characters. So the villain is basically the same villain as the first one, even though Karras self-sacrificed his own life to get rid of Pazuzu inside of Reagan. But apparently he didn't take all of it out and kind of died for no reason, because Pazuzu is still inside Reagan. In this movie, it's not the same cool Pazuzu as the last one. This is like a bootleg bum version of Pazuzu where you can beat him just by dancing. And I'm not joking, that's an actual scene in this movie. Also, it feels like it doesn't even do anything in the movie. I can't remember a single scene where I'm like, okay, the villain really popped off in this scene. I can't name you a scene or even a moment where the villain really stood out. Therefore, it's the worst one because I can't stand it. So rank number 5, we have Pazuzu from Exorcist Dominion. Pazuzu is in half of this list, so get used to hearing Pazuzu.
I will kill you both.
The villain is asleep for like half the movie. I think he wakes up after an hour in. He's not very scary. He doesn't look intimidating. And when he becomes the actual demon, he doesn't do anything other than breathe bugs on you and throw you. Not kill you, not dismember you, not eat you, not, do some crazy stuff. He just breathes bugs on you or just throws you and might give you a concussion. Maybe, if he's like really mad. Also, the CGI on him looks like dog shit that was worked on for like 0.2 seconds. Also, he's the one that gets defeated the easiest out of every single villain. Marin literally just walks up to him, prays, and he's like, okay, bro, I lost. GG's. The villain in this movie was so lame that I can comfortably show this movie to like a 7 and 8-year-old and be very confident that they won't get scared. And at number 4, we have the villain in Exorcist Believer, the new one. So I watched this movie recently. I forgot every single thing about it. I literally couldn't remember what the villain did. So I went back and watched it and I still forgot what the villain did, other than stab an old lady in the eyes when she was being foolish and trying to run up on the demon with no protection, with nothing. The reason the villain isn't lower on the list is because I will take a boring, forgettable villain like this over a villain that destroys the story of the first one and disrespects the first one and makes the original look worse. And at number 3, we have the villain in Exorcist New Beginning. So the demon in this movie possesses the love interest of the main character in this movie, and I still have no investment, no emotional attachment to this romance, so therefore I didn't really care when she turned. She does look kind of creepy, although she's still not very scary. She's not very intimidating. She's probably the worst villain I've ever seen handle a hostage situation. The hero literally just calmly walks up to her and grabs the hostage away from her.
Spare this child, for he's innocent. Spare this child.
The worst she could do is just probably push you across the room, if not just hit you with a shovel. She also runs at 2 miles an hour and she got taken down pretty easily as well. And at number 2, we have the Gemini Killer from Exorcist 3. This is one of the most underrated horror movie villains of all time. This is a very creepy villain, and Brad Dourif knocked it out of the park. I was actually getting kind of tense during his performance. Unfortunately, he's just not in the movie that much, even though you could kind of feel his presence throughout the whole movie, but I wish Brad Dourif had more screen time, because he stole every single scene he was in.
Rip and cut and mutilate the innocent, his friends, and again and on.
This villain really got to me, and there's some very disturbing and scary implications with this character involving Damien Karras, and it's very memorable. I'm not joking, I saw this man in my nightmares talking to me, and I'm not joking. Another creepy element to this character is how much is implied rather than shown, because your imagination is always going to create some shit scarier than anything you could possibly see. And at number 1, you guys guessed it, is Pazuzu from the very first Exorcist movie. This is one of the best villains in horror movie history, if not of any movie ever. This is one of the scariest characters in movie history, psychologically terrorizing everyone, making them lose faith in anything they ever had. The villain is smart, cunning. It fakes being affected by holy water so they can doubt that it's a real possession. Therefore, Reagan suffers a lot more. It's so disturbing to think about. The crazy psychological warfare it plays with everyone. The way it makes itself look weaker than it actually is. Pretending like them tying her up to the bed when it's really not doing anything. Also, just look at it. That's one of the scariest things I've ever seen. And no horror movie villain stuck with me as a kid as much as this one. I vividly remember seeing Reagan possessed in the dark. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw that face. Every single time I thought about this as a kid, I scared the shit out of myself. This movie really stayed with me as a kid. It really messed me up. Therefore, it has to be number 1. Let me know what other horror movie franchise you guys want me to talk about. Have a great one, guys. Bye-bye.